Vikings football with head coach Bruce Barnum as Portland State gets ready to go out on the road one more time, playing at Chattanooga this week. The Vikings taking on the Mocs in a non-conference game. That's this Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. I throw out that Eastern Time because the Vikings never play Eastern Time, Coach. It will only be the second time in Portland State history that they played in the Eastern Time Zone. So a little bit of a different look this week. We'll start with that one. How about the Vikings traveling over? What do you do to prepare your team when you have a big time change like that?
Well, we're talking about it right now, Mike. Do you stay on our time, their time, because really the game's at 4. If that means you're filling their bellies at 3 in the morning, some odd stuff. So we're figuring it out now, but we're in and out. We get there Friday and we're out Saturday after the game, so I don't think the time change will affect us that much.
All right, that game is going to be on ESPN Plus, like all the remainder of the Viking games this season. Talk a little bit more about Chattanooga in just a minute. Vikings went over to Boise State, played a team nationally ranked now, the Boise State Broncos. Outstanding offense, one of the best running backs in the nation. Coach, the Vikings took the loss there. A few of your thoughts on that game, how the team performed.
My team got better, Mike. I saw improvement in all 3 phases. So, yes, we took a loss, but I like the start of the game, about 14 minutes, and we hung in with the mighty Broncos, but some things went sour, and that's where we have to continue. That's what we're kind of addressing with them right now. But I like where my team's at. We had a talk after that game. Preseason's over. Here comes the FCS, even though we've had a Weber State. So we'll start this week with going up against Rusty Wright and his crew. They got a tough bunch over there. But Boise State, you talked about number 2. Don't forget number 9. Number 9 on their defensive front. Anytime you give an inside defensive tackle a single digit, it's kind of a heads up.
He's going to be pretty good, isn't he?
And he was. I saw him kapow some of my offensive linemen. I was like, holy, jumping catfish. A hell of a football player. Those 2 are very dynamic players, and they got a bunch on that team. Well coached. And so I'm interested to see how they do.
Okay, I was going to ask you about, what signs of growth you've seen in your team. You did actually just reference that for a moment. I'm going to ask you about something a little bit unusual that I noticed in the football game, the team's punt coverage. We have to be the best punt cover team in the nation. They tried returning 4 of our punts for -3 yards. So far this season, 10 punts have been returned against the Vikings for a net of 2 yards, Coach. I know you got a new special teams coordinator over there, Robbie Hauk. In that aspect of the game, what's working well?
We talked about that last night, actually, in team meeting, Mike, how our punt coverage team is doing. I haven't seen it before. Hauk's doing a hell of a job. He's putting the personnel in the right spot. We had to go out and get some. As you know, we have an entire new blue line, our kickers, our specialists, and Tony is doing well. And the coverage and the energy out of that unit is fun to watch.
Okay, now I'm going to flip the coin on you here. Something you probably aren't real happy with, the field goal unit. Started off the season well, got a couple field goals of distance. Got some blocked at Boise State. What occurred there in terms of the failure in the field goal game?
Centaur's been great. He's 100%, I believe, coming into that game. And then we had low kicks. One of them was blocked by our guy's head. So wasn't sure how to grade that one. But we worked on Centaur. He'll be all right. 2 low kicks. Get that fixed, and we'll be back on track.
All right, let's talk about Chattanooga. The Vikings going to play a team very similar to themselves. Same record, 0-3, but they played the same type of schedule. Nationally ranked Tennessee. They played Georgia Southern, and they played a one conference game against a nationally ranked team. Mercer, that's right. Just like the Vikings. Exact same look. The only difference is they played one home game. So as these teams match up, you're playing a Southern Conference opponent. Vikings have never played a Southern Conference opponent. What's different about that? Is there anything different about that, playing a team from a different region of the country, different style of play, or is football football?
Football's football. I don't know anybody on their staff. Coach Ray was at Western Carolina, so he knows a couple of their crew. one of their young guys. Excuse me, but looking at them, again, I don't. Their head coach Rusty Wrights. I don't know a damn thing about him, but I know his football team is disciplined. They're in the right spot. They play good football. They don't try to get tricky. They don't. They're not making stuff up. They're playing hard-nosed football, and they're a playoff caliber team. So once that whistle blows, we're flying into Chattanooga, it's Nashville, so we're going to miss the Grand Ole Opry. Was Americana idea, and the Jack Daniel's Distillery is going to have to go without us. But we'll just go there and play a football game, eat some barbecue, and get the hell out.
Okay. And it should be noted, Chattanooga last season was a playoff team, got to the second round of the playoffs. Had an excellent season, entered this year ranked 11th in the nation. So we know they're a top quality team. They hung their hat last year on defense. They've just played a really challenging schedule like the Vikings. As we look at their team, they haven't scored a lot of points yet, haven't moved the ball a lot yet, but they do like to wing it. They got a quarterback that's going to throw it around, an excellent wide receiver in Sam Phillips. That has to be a concern for the Vikings this week.
Yeah, they have Sam and another one. They got a quarterback with experience. I think he's back for his second year. That matters. You can see he's out there commanding it. They got a center who I would brag about. I mean, he's a hell of a football player on offense. And you flip to the other side, they play hard. They got a nose guard. I think he's all everything, but he plays well. So they're a solid football team, Mike. And listen, the Mighty Mocs are no joke. We're gonna have to bring our A game to get out of there with a W.
Okay, and so your A game, what is that going to mean as we move into the FCS portion, full FCS portion of the schedule? What do the Vikings have to do, get better at, really play well at, to get a victory this week and get a victories moving forward?
We got to score more points than them, Mike.
More points. The point thing is important, right?
You always want that coach talk. Because we got to score more than them. I don't care how many it is. But on the road, my philosophy as a kid was throw screens and throw deep and be able to run the football. But I don't know if that holds true on the offensive side. We got to be able to move the chains. I would love to get last game. We won the turnover battle. That would be huge. And keep getting better. I need to keep improving as a football team. If we do that on a week-to-week basis, we'll go in there and give them a run for their money.
All right, the Vikings play the Mocs this Saturday in Chattanooga. Probably not a lot of fans going. I know there'll be a few there, but you can watch it on ESPN+. Coach, different mode of transportation this week. We got the Big Bird. It says PSU Vikings on the side of it. Charter flight. You excited about that?
We're ready to go. It's quick, Now we're all of a sudden, this week will be like everybody else. So
traveling in style.
Traveling in style. Thank you to the brass that runs a budget. They weren't too happy when I went in and brought that up, but they put the stamp on it, and here we are.
Well, it's kind of hard to get to Chattanooga from Portland. You kind of need that in order to get there in time, or we'd be leaving as soon as we're done with this little interview.
Actually, we talked about busing there from Boise, Mike.
No, not me.
No, serious. 3 buses, the live stream or mainstream, whatever the hell they call it. Stop and give them a class in like the Badlands.
4 days on a bus.
We were putting it together.
4 days on a bus.
Well, practice at like Denver Stadium and practice along the way. I had it all planned out.
How are you getting home?
That's where we ran into a wrinkle.
Okay.
So we're going to charter.
All right. Vikings and the Mocs this Saturday in Chattanooga, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time. You can watch it on ESPN+. For all your information on Vikings football, go to GoVikes.com.